For years, my mother and sister tried to reconcile with my ex. However, I married and had a child. I started dating my brother's best buddy at 16. After graduating high school, I rejected his proposal. My family kept telling me to reconsider because we might have a long engagement or vow to make amends and a lot of turmoil. The relationship between my sister, 32, and brother, 36, was strained for a while. She was unbearable when she dated my ex's brother because she thought I was best for him. I kept quiet because my siblings brought my ex to everything, including family gatherings, because he was pals with them. It was until my sister insisted we reunite. My sister made us share a room for the holidays and even went on blind dates. No matter the occasion, I invited my ex. Finally, I asked my parents for help. They told my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to occasions. It was only somewhat better because my brother backed down but my sister didn't. It all came apart when I met my husband while studying abroad for a semester. Despite attending different universities in the same country, we got along. After a year of dating, we got engaged, which was fantastic. Most of my family was thrilled for me, except my sister. She kept saying I was only honeymooning and would get over it. My answer is no, and after endless debates and attempts to reconcile, I did not. Ex. If she did wrong again, hush up. What does she do after that direction? She makes me hermo and wants I spend every second with my ex and bridal party. She puts a friend on a date with my spouse. We realized when the unfortunate girl flirted with my husband during the reception. Because we're not married, my sister said we can experiment with others. Post-party, I headed to. I told my brother and parents the next day that, while I won't force them to pick, I would never speak to my sister again, and that if they tried to fix things, I would sever all communication with them. Mother reasoned while inconsolable. My dad and brother told me they would support my choice, even though I haven't spoken, written, or done anything with my sister in 6 years, save for 2 attempts by my mother. My sister has tried to reconcile with me. Presents and tantrums, but I don't talk to her. Act like she doesn't exist. At a family gathering or dinner. When no one supported her, she stopped causing trouble or making snarky remarks. She had a meltdown when she learned she was invited to my wedding but wouldn't help prepare. My brother regrets going through it for so long and says my ex has harmed their friendship. They still talk, but not as much. I announced our first child, our first granddaughter, a few weeks ago, which is the issue. My mother's B-day. Except for my sister, everyone was thrilled. Going was against my gut, but I wanted to remain positive. My mom saw and invited me to tea recently. I saw my sister's car first, and her husband when I entered, ex-partner meal. My childish technique had worked for so long, so they planned an intervention. My ex-partner wanted to be romantic but knew I couldn't manage it. Mother, I need to forgive her since she apologized and I wounded my sister. While texting my brother, dad, and other family members, I stared at my mom in disbelief. Bill called me a hurtful person and advised me to act more maturely now that I'm pregnant. My mother then read a letter lamenting her daughter's estrangement. How my sister went astray but had excellent intentions, etc. After reading her letter, my sister cried and told me what the others did differently. I waited silently till my brother arrived. Anyone. He was angrier than ever, confiscated my possessions, and proclaimed his displeasure to everyone. We waited in his car outside for my husband and parents. He apologized as I cried uncontrollably. Only mom wasn't sent, but I don't know what happened. To avoid being solicited again, I emailed them my lawyer's number and threatened to denounce them to the police. Although no one has contacted me, I learned from my dad that my mom and sister are inconsolable and want things to improve so my sister can be my baby's godmother. Dad lives with brother and helps me, but other family members don't. Mutual friends have called me to check on my sister, who now thinks my husband is distancing me from my family. I posted a lengthy business post, despite hating public speaking, detailing events on Facebook. Intentionally or not, Sister Bill and the ex should be brought along. My mom has been agitated lately, which disturbs me but not as much as her minor interference. I promised to speak with her and set up future encounters a few days ago. Therapy, family therapy, boundaries, not telling my sister personal information, and separate holidays were these. Her cut is inevitable, if she does it again, off. Despite thinking this is excessive, she wants to proceed. She needs to show her improvement, I told her. She thought rapid baby news and resolution were guaranteed. Brother and father avoided talking to sister and apologized for not stopping sooner. Since they grew, we forgave them. My mill doesn't know if denying mom access to her grandchild is right, but she says it's my call. Husband backs me up. I don't know how to manage mom. Questioner, why did op respond to comments? Should you not embrace your happy ever after with your ex and stop being stupid with your husband now that you are pregnant? Any updates on your baby? Do her ex-boyfriend's family accept her? So my sister says I can't reject her being an aunt, but she's not trying to bring us together anymore. For spending so much, she considers me a terrible sister, many hours with my fantastic SILs. I don't trust her. My mother issue. Could she be your best friend without dating your ex? Whew. No idea how she thinks, but I wish I could. Our spouse thinks she's psychologically unwell. Our ex owns my dating era mixtapes and CDs, which is the most ludicrous and terrifying thing about him. He keeps the stuff after over 20 years. I'm surprised your brother's stalker ex is still around. But don't ignore your mother. Unscheduled. She must show compliance with your rules. Sister must face her actions. In fairness to my brother, he did distance himself from me after I told my parents I felt unhappy having my ex around. I visited my family throughout college breaks despite living there. Away. He also went above and beyond to make my husband feel at home, which embittered my ex because he felt tricked by my brother. Today, my spouse is one of my brother's greatest friends and only talks to my ex politely or about our nephew. Remind her your mother supports this. Big sister continues because she knows your mother thinks it's out of hand. I am devastated since my mother was always friendly to my husband, and I am now reassessing their relationship. Oop is not Indian or religious. Parents were great, respectable, who mistakenly thought it was romantic. They wanted me to go to college and do that. I now see that my mom may have just agreed with my sister, but my dad stuck by me. My sister imagined us as brothers, spouses, and best friends. The same day, 16 hours later. Thanks for your aid and advice, and for the edit I couldn't upload. Since there are too many comments to answer to individually, I'll add more. Greater information than present. We broke up when I was 18, and he was 37. I didn't want to marry or get engaged, so we split up. Her demand comes from my sister's obsession with us being best friends and marrying brothers. It hurts me because my mom has always been so kind to my spouse, but I think it was a front. My ex dated others after their breakup. Never married, he has 2 children from a previous relationship. My sister thinks that's great, since he's always wanted to marry me. Do something romantic. His compulsive behavior extends beyond me. It's been said that he was like his children's mothers, but my sister wants him to focus more on me so she can be a good aunt. After I told my parents I felt uneasy with my ex around, my brother cut him off. Sometimes I visited my family while at college far away. He went above and beyond to make my husband feel at home, which ruined his relationship with my ex. He thought my brother betrayed him. Today, my husband is one of my brother's greatest friends and only talks to my ex politely or about our nephew or sister's son. It felt like just my dad agreed with me that I didn't want to spend too much time with my ex, but both of my parents did. On the day of the tea party, my mom told him she would make my favorite tea and pastries, but he couldn't stay because we would be spending time together. My dad believed going to see my uncle was kind, so I'm furious. My spouse met my sister, made an effort to get to know her, but now he avoids her and believes she's crazy. Whether she is unknown. Her acts remain unjustified. Officially, they invited the ex and his mother because they hoped it would help me resolve my sister issues. Additionally, we are neither religious nor Indian. My spouse and I share a race. Money is the same between spouse and ex-wife. It would benefit my hubby. My SILs last. My brother's wife and my husband's sisters are upset. My husband's sisters will discuss their mother's comment. Mom and brother are considering long-term relocation to North Carolina. They will delay her visiting my nephews. To protect my child, I may need to go to North Carolina with my mom. My hubby is upset to learn that all their encounters were manufactured, but he is even more enraged that she made me cry and question my integrity. I understand that I have many mother-related conversations with my family. I will request a restraining order against my sister and ex-partner. I spoke with my mother, but she thinks she's the expert. I'm bad, and she'll get custody or grandparents' rights. Since her words still make me anxious, we wrote her a letter. My dad left permanently because he couldn't let her scare his child. My brother and his wife chose North Carolina. I may have overestimated my pessimism after the intervention, despite its abruptness. My spouse left afterward. Told them to think about what they valued and be open to anything. But he would never raise a child in a harmful environment. Reason 3,271,637, to love my spouse. The deception of my mother has destroyed my spouse, who thinks she will never get anything from him. This concludes vengeance. My husband and sisters helped my mill see why her comment was so out of context, even though many of you thought she was a nice mother from a lovely family. This is still bizarre to my dad, who can't believe it happened. My brother and I often apologize for our role. In that, said they will support me through any ridiculous fight my parents or cider throw at me. Update 2, December 17, 2021. Thank you for the warm words and encouragement. To avoid removal like the original, I posted it here. Although things are great and bad, I'm trying to be hopeful. Our brother and his wife informed my nephews that their grandma was unwell and tried to hurt Annie Diamond and the younger cousin. They said that their grandmother loved them, even if she wouldn't be around. Smart students. But it was incredible, difficult. They were also told that their other aunt had died, but they didn't care since they didn't like her, not just because I didn't like her, but because she wasn't good with them. My mom lost it and demanded to see her grandchildren and claim her rights after learning the truth. My dad is staying with us till January but seeking for a permanent home. Since we had space and my brother's mill was visiting, he is despondent, has called divorce attorneys, and shifted bank records. Mom sends him tons of emails, messages, and calls, but he never responds. He shouldn't block her now, said the lawyer. Though he considered forgiving her, my blood pressure rose when she visited my house with my sister a few days after my last post. My sister had never been to my place and my mother knew I didn't want her there. But it doesn't matter now, because the maid knows me. Since Mom and I haven't had time to tell her to leave, she let them in. While running errands, I saw the automobile but didn't get in. My sister, my husband's sister, was my closest relative, but I called everyone. She challenged them and threatened to call the police for trespassing after they left. I got unwell. At the doctor, I was told my excitement was too high and to calm down to avoid harming the unborn kid. My dad came home with my brother, uncle, and husband and got all he could. He claims my sister yelled at him incessantly when she saw him, accusing him of wrecking her family. My dad won't talk to them again after informing my mom and sister they nearly killed the kid. My sister tried to get my brother to help, but nothing happened. Because of his mother's ridiculous views, my nephew is losing a lot of family, and I'm distraught. However it is, my lawyer wrote to my mom that she harmed me and the baby, and that if she did, harassing me will become a legal matter. My mom always fights over custody and grandparent rights. Her letter was prompted by my brother's persecution of me. My mother and sister denied treatment. All of this shows that they have been together for a long time, despite mental health concerns, focus on being healthy, seeing a therapist, and enjoying the holidays with family. March 30th, 2022, Revision 3. Hello, I had time and several requests for an update, so I figured this would be a good fit. I appreciate everything, your messages and well wishes. I follow any advice because I think we owe you for making us more paranoid. After 20 weeks, I revealed the baby's gender to a few people. We waited so long because we wanted to be sure and feel safe about the announcement given our recent loss. We foolishly thought my mom would love it. I handed my husband your recommendations, comments, and letters when I posted, which he read for days. While scanning the house, we found nothing, but we felt uneasy, terrified, so my dad and I stayed in a motel. We then realized my fur baby's vest had a tracker. His odd vest is due of his small size and coldness. I never thought to search there, but my sister questioned him about me in reconciliation and my dad showed him the hotel area, and we found the tracker. I felt sad, so we moved. Thank goodness we have money. We rent out our home. Even though I loved the house, I felt degraded and filthy. Unfortunately, my parents' house has the similar feel. Along with my husband's family, my brother, dad, and SIL, we got new phones, updated our numbers, and informed the police, friends, and employment. We started family therapy, and while I've forgiven my dad and brother, they still feel regret. We're mending together. My mom and sister say they're right and don't need counseling. After creating a new will that gives my sister's son a trust fund and some inheritance but leaves my sister with little, my dad is done with her. Despite feeling terrible for her, I focused on my child. Having her here is lucky. My mother is gone, so it's not the experience I expected, but many friends and family have surprised us. Finally, we tested people before telling them I was going into labor because we were paranoid. We eliminated the individual spewing lies to my parents and sister. It worked smooth. We explained reasoning, and others understood. Once my partner, my friends now call him. Bates claimed the baby was his because we were having trouble due to my endless love for him. Despite no one believing him, my husband had to tell Bates' employer about the bizarre behavior. He was suspended after an internal review. They're sorry and keeping asking for additional information, so I'm almost sure he'll be fired. While my mother has tried to find us, everyone who knows where we are has moved on. The attorney for my dad informed her that all correspondence will be sent to her. She's unstable, therefore lawyers are involved. Since I felt bad for my dad being alone, we've been together. No fault of mine, and he promised me he would be fine, but I feel terrible. The universe's best diaper changer, feeder, and babysitter. My sister's son visited my dad, and my nephews are still affectionate. It began with her making recordings threatening to harm herself if my husband didn't stop dividing her family. My dad emailed her about seeing her son and threatened to arrest her. Threats, which appeared to stop it. I was accused of giving Bates false hope. It cannot be falser. Imagining he would continue made me uneasy for years. After meeting my husband, my sister and I argued for a long time. After my sister, I married after a long engagement. Love my sister and mother. However, I prefer a healthy family and myself to that love. This whole situation taught me loyalty, love, and compassion, despite its oddity. I'm delighted it worked. May this not sound overly wordy. Great hugs from me. Update 4, June 25, 2022. When we moved in, my dad moved into the guest house. After considerable discussion in and out of treatment, we decided that while he should be with us, we needed our own place. The prior venue is being rented, so we'll decide later. Dad visits his 3 grandchildren 3 times a week. We don't want my weird sister around, but he needed to see her child separately because she wouldn't let him have it until she knew where he lived, which is logical. Mother brought. Reveal its unfairness to lawyers. Mom can't change anything, but Dad sees all his grandchildren. A month ago, my stomach hurt as my dad confessed. My nephew's sister lets him see him because he pays for his child care and education. He felt bad about holding secrets. It was okay, I told him, and not to worry. My father received a Mother's Day email linking to an Instagram account with a tragic film about my mother. The movie described my sister as a saint for sustaining her and how most of her family had abandoned her. Forwarded it to the attorney, despite my fury and pitiful feelings. Dad officially filed for divorce in May, and the case is ongoing. Even if my mom still thinks he's wrong, my dad said he'd rather drink bleach than go back to her, so I guess that resolves. Brother and wife took Dad out on Father's Day and had a great time. They kept my dad from finding it even though my sister posted a lot that day. We wanted him to appreciate it. Learned about it. They also went camping with the kids, staying at a hotel in a suite, and setting up a tent for the kids and a tippy for the baby in the center. Being a parent is one of the best things that has ever happened to me, and I'm thrilled to see my husband becoming the great father I always knew he would be. Even though it's exhausting, I'm grateful for my rock support. Children should know they don't have to hang around with people they don't like, and that their ideas matter, so my SILs and I keep an age-appropriate calendar for the kids. They claim to be the baby's defenders and are obsessed with her, so we have little get-togethers, brunches, etc. Personally, spending time with the family is more fun without my sister. She saps the room's hope, even though I know it's wrong. Mill adores spending time with the baby and sleeps in the guest room once a week. Asking respectfully, she said she didn't want the baby at sleepovers or anything. She makes me feel heard and valued, and I will admit to crying sometimes. I miss my mom. I mourn the mother I thought I had, not the nasty, judgmental woman who told me I wouldn't be a good mother. It's a marathon, so focus on the positive, says my therapist. In addition to being sacked, Bates lost his industry reputation, as were his siblings. But Bill still has a job in an area where reputation is less crucial. Bates communicated his hurt that I am withholding from him in a 12-page, double-sided, single-spaced letter. His threat forced his husband to professionally destroy him because he could not demolish anything else. My lawyer studied it and gave me a synopsis, so I said it seemed. The grapevine tells me that his children's mother relocated, and he looked unconcerned, saying it was for the best. I don't question anyone, they just tell me since they know he's stalking me. He wants to play family with me and the baby, without caring about his kids. His mother let him move back in, so he won't be homeless or learn anything from this. Not a pretty update, but it is. My spouse burnt or donated anything my mom or parents gave him with my dad's permission. Despite recollections, he says life is too short for her. I'm glad you and your family survived with little damage, commenter. The firing part confuses me. I know Bates is mean, but how does his past affect his work? To keep going in his close-knit industry. His disreputation can ruin you. A feminist, single dad and friendly but aloof, he was before this. He even told co-workers I was with him longer than we were. Say something underneath. From India, I'm reading your best of Reddit post at 1:30 a.m. I respect and regret your experiences. I hope your kid is kind and healthy like you two. I hope this mess ends soon so you can spend time with your mother when her ex-fantasy ends. I like your perseverance. Oop, it's lovely. I'll never talk to my mom again. I dearly miss her. I cry much. She is not who I thought she was, and my mom will not be part of the ideal family for the baby. It breaks my heart to safeguard my baby. June 30th, 2024 update. Long absence. Before I update you, thank you for your messages and remarks. When I check this account, I get lots of lovely stuff, which I appreciate. Though few will read this, the updates are mainly favorable. Now, that's apparent, let's commence. My mother's tantrums and disagreements led to their divorce. All she got was a lump sum and the house. Our family is pleased for my dad, who seems new. We kept our cleaning lady despite the fuss as a throwback. My eccentric family's activities worried me about this woman, who had supported my husband's family for decades, losing her job. Not only is she not kneeling to polish floors, we are not slobs. Anyway, Dad informed her that she was on paid vacation and could wait for us till we moved, but that she was not fired. Her family rejoiced. My dad started receiving food and other goods from them since they appreciated what he did for them. Okay. My dad dates her nail salon owner sister. She's attractive and has kids, so she knows the dynamics. She enjoys her independence. and he has stated that he would not move or marry. My mother doesn't interact with me, so I heard, regarding his new connection, which nearly caused a stroke. A late-life crisis made him a sugar daddy, she alleged. However, she's struggling, I hear. She had problems because she never managed her money well and relied on my dad to stop making extravagant purchases. My dad no longer supports my sister financially, therefore she's struggling. He kept helping my nephew until a really difficult stage. My nephew called my child fair. She claims my other nephews are mad and she is not with her father. He also pushed one of my nephews onto my husband's side during a birthday party, stating only he and my kids were linked. Despite their uncertainty, the kids told an adult immediately. My dad's words were reiterated after chatting with him. After talking to my sister, she said she couldn't stop a youngster from telling the truth, didn't all kids? She was informed that he would end contact until things changed. After my spouse forced my dad to break them up, my nephew is in public school because she cried and was stubborn. Bates still there. Unemployed. He worked with stalking and vulnerable women, ironically. I apologize for my ambiguity. This resulted in his firing. His boss wanted this to be a secret. Since he only knows my lawyer's address, who gets to receive, read, and file his 2 additional lengthy, meandering handwritten letters. I love my lawyer. I have no negative relationships with him, other than it and the rumors. A passerby inquired whether my child was Bates's at the grocery store, which shocked me. She stated I should feel ashamed of hurting such a nice man and that he had a photo of us on his website when I asked what she was on. He still claims my child is his and that I love him. All that's old news, but the last picture comment surprised me most. This photo was emailed to a family group once and isn't public. We resolved to smoke out the rat after my hubby was outraged but calm when I told him immediately. Mum got information from Dad's 2 sisters. Even though my dad was furious at him for cutting them off, they still beg him to talk to them. Since the last post, we took several family vacations to communicate and get great assistance. Missing my mama still. Even though she's a bad person and my family's safety is more essential, I cry when I realize I can't share milestones with her. Last intriguing fact, they camped on Father's Day. It was great, except for bug bites and sunburns.